Hello, good evening, and welcome to One on One tonight. My name is Bright Nana Amfo. My guest is a general of Ghanaian politics and the chairman of the National Democratic Congress. You can also call him General Mosquito, and he will respond to you. Good evening, General.
Good evening,
and thanks so much for spending your 1 hour with us tonight.
It's my pleasure.
Let's start from here. Just 5 months into the big thing for me for the NDC. What is the NDC, or how is the NDC going about it?
Thank you very much, and good evening to listeners. I guess you don't expect me to expose our strategy fully, because a strategy once exposed becomes history. You can't go into war with strategy. But basically, you look at the challenges that you face ahead of the elections, and your campaign is structured to address specifically those challenges. I guess that in terms of messaging and trying to convince people to vote for us, it's pretty well done now. So the focus on that area will be minimal. We believe that when you take a look at the polls that are being churned out now, there is every indication that Ghanaians want to vote for us. But there is difference between the intention of Ghanaians to vote for you and you becoming the victor in the elections. If anything at all, the polls just measure the intention of Ghanaians to vote for you.
Right.
But you need to convert intentions into readiness to go and cast the ballot, the policing of the ballot, counting of the ballot, and transmission of results, and converting those intentions into electoral victory.
So the NDC is not complacent?
Not at all.
Because the polls are in your favor?
Not at all, because it's a challenge to us. The polls give us encouragement that we are on the right path, but it imposes a lot of responsibility on us, because if Ghanaians invest their votes in you, and you are not able to harvest those votes and convert them into electoral victory, then they have the right to blame you. So our focus will be more on putting our electoral machinery together to be able to get the people out to vote and express those intentions into elections results, and to be able to police the election results till victory is declared.
The economy of a country is in a bad state.
Sure.
I mean, any other word would mean you not being objective or honest with it. Is that an advantage for the NDC?
Well, it is both a challenge and an advantage, because maybe the poor state, and I would like to say that if there is any other word worse than poor, that is what we should be using to describe the state of our country now. Governance, economy, and other things together. It's not just about economy alone. And so that presents an advantage to anybody who wants to unseat the government.
Right.
Because it's been said that social contentment is the greatest enemy for any political agitator or adventurer. So lack of contentment also is the greatest friend of anybody who wants to make a change in the political situation. So truly that works to our advantage. But the other side, the flip side of the coin, is that those problems cannot be wished away after the electoral victory is declared. You will now be faced with those problems, and people will be looking up to you to be able to, deal with those challenges and return the nation back to back on track. So that is a bigger challenge.
But despite this challenge, you hear your main opponents, the ruling NPP, suggesting that they have a million and one ways to win the election despite these challenges. How scared is the NDC about it?
Look, NPP has never won any election genuinely in this country. From their tradition, they believe that victory is what matters. So the end justifies the means. So they think that any means of securing victory is good for them. Whilst we have been focusing on trying to find ways of making our elections cleaner, whilst preparing for elections, we prepare to be able to, if you like, stop rigging or anti-rigging measures. Those are the areas where we have traditionally put our focus on. So we are not surprised that they would want to find means of rigging the election. But when you win, and you win very well, you can give some allowance for whatever they will be abusing their incumbency for, and you still emerge victorious. So we are not scared at all.
Scared at all about what the NPP
and we know that
the
great
incumbency advantage is
they will use the incumbency advantage. There's no problem. There is no doubt about that. But we still think that no incumbent can be more powerful than the people. So if the people have decided that you must go, you would have to go. And so whether it is up to you to go peacefully or you resist the movement, but it will happen all the same. But the consequences will be dire for whoever attempts to use any other means than fair means to try to remain in power.
Your electoral machinery, let me put it that way, your officers that you're going to put out there, those will be at the polling stations, those will be at the strong room and all over the country. How well are they prepared to face these challenges? Because now we're told that win the polls at the polling station.
We can share the nature of the problem, but how we are going to solve it, I guess that is something that
you want to keep it
I'll call it classified for now.
Great. Now, let's then look at the ticket on which the party is contesting the 2024 election. Mr. John Mahama is a former president, and he has accepted his former running mate to pair him into 2024. This ticket, what do you see about this ticket that will be able to stop the breaking of the eight?
Thank you very much. Actually, it's a very solid ticket. That is why we actually won the 2020 elections. But victory was snatched from us through some abuse of incumbency. So that is why we believe that the ticket is solid. We need to repeat it. That's why we've repeated that ticket. And the other side is even weaker because when we took Nanado and Baumia, I don't think that it is the same as pairing Baumia and Napo. They have turned out a weaker ticket, so that is an advantage to us.
But this is the same Baumia who, from all indications in 2016, gave the NDC some challenge as far as campaigning is concerned.
Yes, I would say yes, because when you are hearing lies for the first time, it's appealing to you. It is not the same when you live through the lies and the lies are exposed. It makes the person who used the lies in the first place become very bad. It dents its credibility. And that is why His Excellency Baumia's credibility has been so badly dented now that once he's been presented to us, we don't think that Ghanaians want to buy
He's a
him
threat.
at all.
So he's not a threat
He's
at all.
not a threat at all.
At all to the NDC
not
in
at all,
2024.
not at all to us, because in choosing leadership, credibility and integrity is the most important attribute in choosing leadership. So once you've dented that credibility, you are done with. And in fact, he has survived because of the level of, shall I say, political consciousness of our society, Ghana, level of awareness, enlightenment, and so on. That is the reason why he has survived. I do not think that somebody like Dr. Baumia would have survived in any, mature democracy at all up to this stage.
Why was Prof. Nana impeded?
Because she's a solid candidate.
Just that?
By all standards. Yes, because we are not just looking at, popularity and things like that. We are trying to find good leadership for this country. And so when a party is choosing a leader who is positioned to win elections, you must look at what happens beyond the victory. And Prof. Nana is a solid administrator. She has administered one of the largest public universities in this country successfully. When you come to her ministerial accomplishments, you realize that by far education and agriculture are the largest and most complex and most difficult to run ministries in this country. Her abilities were put to test in the Ministry of Education. And the records are very clear for everybody to see.
The choice of the party, the entire party.
Yes.
There was no dissenting view at all.
Oh, you cannot have a political party behaving like a command institution like the military. In fact, the lifeblood of politicking is debate. And so whenever there is any proposal, there will be debates around it, pros, cons, and so on. And then once a decision is taken, everybody comes on board. And I think that we've made the best decision in the circumstances.
Let's look at the NDC's policies when it wins power. Mm-hmm. Now, you said at the unveiling of Prof. Nana Jane that the party has a huge task and the need for all to be on board. Now, in taking the reins of government, what is the plan to revive the various challenges that we're seeing? Economy, governance, and all. In fact, the concern of many is that President John Mahama has 4 years, and it's going to be a tough one. In fact, figures we are getting indicate that even the Ghanaian cedi will in 2025 continue to depreciate. Is the NDC ready to bite all this and turn things around? And how is it going to do it?
We are very ready to do that. But I guess you don't expect me to preempt our manifesto launch.
The voters want to hear how the NDC will do it.
No,
so they can vote for
they'll have ample time. That is why we are going to launch the manifesto, and there will be opportunity. We will tackle the sectors of the economy, sector by sector, get the opportunity to present fully, and then allow people like you to question us up to the implementability of the various policies that will be churning out. But we have already, one of the biggest challenges the country is facing is unemployment generally, and You've heard our flag bearer proposing a 24-hour economy. There are other policies that we will be announcing sector by sector to deal with the challenges. The economy generally is in very bad shape. And beyond that, the other components of the economy, like the energy sector, the problems are, I guess, are even bigger than what you see in the general economy. The agriculture sector has challenges. The education sector has challenges. So there will be ample time for us to, give the opportunity to Ghanaians to hear our policy proposals, and they will be questioned about how feasible these alternative proposals are.
But do you get worried when you hear people say that the NDC is unable to explain the 24-hour economy?
Oh, you see, if you declare intentional, what do you call it, intentional dumbness or something, it is up to you. Okay, I believe that the 24-hour economy policy proposal has been bought into by majority of Ghanaians, and they are flying away with it. But our opponent will say that we don't understand it. And if I say I don't understand anything, you can be talking. It's like trying to wake up somebody who is actually not asleep. As we are in this room, if I'm sitting by this desk and somebody comes banging at the door, and I say, oh, I won't mind him. You can bang till tomorrow morning. But if I'm actually asleep, the bang will wake me up. You understand? So there are a group of people who want to use propaganda to just say that, oh, they can't explain it, thinking that that will be bought into. But I believe that it is a simple policy proposal, and then as we move forward, we'll churn out the means of getting it properly implemented. But simply put, we have said that we are running an 8-hour economy, whilst our competitors out there in other countries, many other countries, are running 24-hour economy. So ab initio, we are disadvantaged. So we think that let's work for more hours, and then we can put the nation in a very competitive edge. Our machines will be working in the factories, the machines will be working 24 hours. And then we get people to work in 3 shifts. That means more people employed and all that, and more productivity and all that. So we'll, as we go on, the day we launch the manifesto, if there will be a segment or a full day to get people to understand how it is going to be implemented. And then I'm sure that to the doubting Thomases, they will be brought
to them.
They will be brought on board. But our opponents are scared, and they wanted, their first reaction was that, oh, it's been implemented already because chop bars are doing it and all that. Something you don't understand. How do you claim that it is being implemented? And now they know they know that the people are buying into it, and they are jumping to the other side to say that, oh, NDC cannot explain it. We don't understand it. Something you don't understand. How did you claim that it is already in operation?
We're still here on One-on-One. Let's take a short break. We'll be back with the general still in the studio. Welcome back to One-on-One. My guest, General Mosquito, is still here with me. General, so now the party, of course, in every political environment, campaigning, moving around comes with funding. The NDC has been on the position for 8 years. The last time you stood on the podium again at the unveiling of Professor Gina Napoku, you said that you don't have the money and you advise voters, yes, take the money, but don't vote for those who are giving you the money. In funding your campaign, what are the challenges?
Oh,
as far as financing is
you know, I have said that finance can be a good fuel for campaign, but finance should not be the driver of campaign.
Your opponents have money.
They do. That's why I'm saying that they cannot. They want to put the money in the driving seat, and that's where they are going to crash. You know, the challenges people are facing, for which reason they want a change, they go beyond 1 CD a day, 10 CDs here, 5 CDs here on voting day. That is not what people are. And I've lived long enough in this country to see how big monies or parties with big monies have crashed on the election day. I was around when NAL, led by Bedema, was in tango with the Progress Party. Those days, even though the Progress Party was sympathetic, or the military government that was in power was sympathetic to the Progress Party, NAL had far more resources. The opposition party NAL had far more resources than the Progress Party. And so it got to a point, and you know, in my area, we are from Buzier's district and his area of influence. So knowing that we didn't have money, all that we said, say NAL for your job money and vote for Progress Party. And it worked. You understand? 2008, Professor Mills didn't have money. In fact, I don't know, we've kept some of the things secret, but I remember that our convoy ran short of fuel on the Winnipeg Cape Coast Road. And we had to stop to try and figure out how to get fuel for Professor Mills' car in 2008 campaign. But we won that election. And so if anybody thinks that distribution of looted funds and all that will change the minds of Ghanaians, they must go back to the drawing board. I believe that the excruciating pain that Ghanaians are going through, it doesn't take 10 CDs here, 5 CDs here, for them to suddenly forget about this and say that, well, let us continue living under this pain. It will not happen. And so we need funding, minimum funding. That's why I'm saying that funding should be the fuel for the campaign and not the driver of the campaign. We need minimum funding because vehicles will have to be moving around. We will be organizing campaign events. We must train our people. It takes money for training, accommodation, payment of party agents and all that, party paraphernalia, advertisement, and so on. We need money in that. But we are convinced that whatever affects all must be decided by all. And so, and if you want to take you want to peep into the policies of an incoming government, the best lenses to use is how that party will be funded to come to power. And so if you allow money bags to come and hijack the party by financing the party, then he who pays the piper certainly calls the tune. So that is why we are going out there to be organizing fundraising activities and so on. All our 16 regions have a program of doing fundraising. We have ordered for fundraising to be done at constituency levels. We started one at national level. We may have a second one before the main election. And so, in fact, the whole of this week and maybe next week, there will be so many of them at the constituency levels. Today, yesterday, there was a Western North, and the day before yesterday, there was Western North. Yesterday, there was the one for Northeast. Friday, we will have one for Ashanti region. Sunday, there will be one for Bono region and all that. They are all ongoing. And if you see the enthusiasm by ordinary people to donate towards NDC to be able to change the circumstances that we live in this country, it is very, very encouraging. And so I believe that, and we have also launched adopt a constituency, adopt a polling station initiatives, which are being heavily subscribed by ordinary people. And I believe that that is the way to go, so that when we come to power, we must by all means implement people-driven policies that will meet the expectation of ordinary people.
You raise a very delicate issue about funding political parties. And this is a conversation that we have had, and I'm sure you have had it many, many times.
Sure.
Now, in this situation, would you, for instance, suggest that the state must begin to look at funding political parties?
I've been one of the advocates for state funding of political parties. I've come under attack because of that. And I'm not saying this because we are in opposition. In fact, I was loudest about it when we were in government. And I still believe that funding of political parties makes a lot of sense, if for nothing at all. You see, when you look at political parties as the breeding grounds of future government, future presidential candidates, future parliamentary candidates, and so on. If parties don't have the capacity to groom people properly, and in our circumstances, independent candidates, chances of independent candidates winning are very, very slim. So by all means, candidates will emerge from political parties. So if you have very strong political parties which can groom candidates very well, train them to be good future leaders, then you are likely to have a better material in government. And once you have your best material in government, you are surely going to have a situation where good policies will be churned out and policy implementation will be better. And if policy implementation is better, efficient utilization of the resources of the country, both human, material, and everything, will be improved. So if there is a way of investing in the institutions that nurture and develop candidates and good material into government, it stands to reason that those institutions must be funded to be able to build that capacity. And so that is one side of it. I had opportunity in the past to engage, I think the European Parliament or something, about this thing. From the beginning, there was complete avoidance of funding of political institutions completely by our development partners. Okay, so if you say World Bank or European Union or any other funding institution should help fund maybe parliament or the judiciary or no, these are political institutions. We don't touch them. So there was an occasion where I think on the ticket of IE or something, we engaged the European Union before in Brussels, and I made the point that you may want to give us funding, loans, and other things. Your wish is that those loans will be utilized efficiently for the benefit of our citizens. But the people who will help in developing the policies for the efficient utilization of this funding, they are crucial to ensure that the funds are actually utilized efficiently for the benefit of the people. And when those funds benefit the people, it will generate, if they are used very well, it will then generate wealth for us to be able to come and pay back your loans. So if you say that you are not going to help support to develop the capacity of those who will be in charge of the nation, in charge of receiving the funding and disbursing them on behalf of the nation, and you throw your money into the hands of mediocre people, they will mess it out. It will not help the country. It will not help the economy. And then your repayment becomes a challenge. So it is good to look at that area. I'm happy that these days the development partners are beginning to look at our institutions of governance to be able to improve them. That is the way to go. So we are at times living in dreamland by assuming simply that political parties must be funded by the people who brought them up. If that is a simple argument, then political parties will remain underfunded. And if they remain underfunded, their capacity will never be developed, and they will not be able to develop and churn out very good candidates. And you cannot have a good president when you don't have a good presidential candidate. You cannot have a good member of parliament when you don't have a good parliamentary candidate. So we will continue to be in this rigmarole. So there is every reason for the state to be able
to come in
and fund political parties. There is another argument, and that is, I believe strongly that funding of political parties is a good anti-corruption measure, okay? Because if the state doesn't fund political parties, it becomes very difficult for the state to demand accountability from the parties. And so as we sit here, if some political party leadership decides that, okay, we want money to campaign, let's go and take money from drug barons or from whatever source, the money will be available. But once they use that money to campaign and come to power, it means that they must facilitate the work of drug barons so that those who fund the political party will now take their
kickback.
You understand? So don't allow your parties to be hijacked by financiers from doubtful sources. Otherwise, they will be dictating the state policy. So, and now that you don't fund political parties, are you sure that the state monies are not going into political parties? And the answer is no. Because when a party is in power, its financial circumstances becomes better than parties that are out of power. So it tells you that there is something more to being in power. Okay. And once you are in power, you say, oh, we have DCs, we have ministers, DCs, fund this rally, ministers bring money and fund this rally. You know their salaries. So if you say they should fund, Where's the money going to come from? They will find ways of taking the money from the state coffers anyway. So if something is going to be taken under the carpet, behind the scenes, what about if you budget for it and say that, look, let us devote so much for political funding, and then you are able to regulate the use of those monies. And then once you are able to regulate, you are even able to regulate other fundraising activities and the monies they bring in and how those monies are disbursed. And it becomes transparent.
You have just raised the issue of funding and corruption. The NPP actually rose to power on the back of screaming corruption everywhere in 2016. Has the Ghanaian situation changed from where you sit?
Yes, it has changed, but from bad to worse. Everybody knows it. As if I liken these last 4 years to be a relay race in corruption. You know, I mentioned somewhere that we wanted 4 more years for Nana. And when we were in the first year, I said, you are going through only 1 year for Nana. You are now going to move to 2 more years for Nana, the 3rd year for Nana, and the 4th year you actually see what 4 more years stands for. Look at where we are. Scandals about corruption have now become normalized because people don't get the opportunity to even finish discussing one, then another one comes, another one comes. It looks as if stampeding the population with corruption scandals actually will force the population to say, oh, this is normal, let's forget about it and move along. That is what is happening. So we are in the corruption relay race. And even with the last lap, this is the very last lap. Ministers are still being appointed and all that. Is as if come for the baton and do yours. You have been resting long enough, just pick the baton and then let's go. So the situation is bad. But the worst thing is that the population is as if the population is beginning to accept corruption as normal.
Because so we are not fighting it as a country.
Yes, we are not fighting it as a country. And the scandals are coming in quick succession that the population feels stampeded and say, oh, if we can't change it, why don't let us, live with it? It's no news again and all that. And that is very dangerous for our society. When bad things are being accepted as normal conduct in society, then you are in trouble. You know, the society is sick. You know, now nobody, what do you call it? It's like corruption has become so normalized that those who don't want to engage in corruption and want to stay clean are the rare species now. Their life is becoming more and more endangered. They are the endangered species.
But this president promised to fight corruption.
That is why I think that is the biggest assignment before us in the next election.
When John Mahama comes to power,
precisely,
he has a huge task on
there is a huge task. First of all, if the process of corruption have been so distributed that it weakens the institutions that will help you to fight corruption, then your job becomes bigger. You understand? So I was telling somebody some joke that when I was in the Ministry of Agriculture and we were fighting Fulani invasion with their cattle and all that, launched something called Operation Cowley. First, we're using the military to do that job. We got to a point where you see that the foreign headsman comes and he knows that the chief has a role to play if in a decision to drive us away.
them away.
So if they see the chief and give the chief maybe 5 cows, then they say police commander, they give him something, the assemblyman, they give him something, give something, if they can get to the DC and other things. Then it's like they have sealed everybody's mouth. So when the cattle begin destroying people's farms, you see that there is nobody to talk about it because their mouths are sealed. That is the situation we are having in this country now.
Then the NDC has a huge task because the voters will look up to the NDC in just 4 years to deal with this, expose people, possibly jail them if they are culpable. Is the NDC up to this task?
You see, people will judge you not because of what you have achieved completely, whether you've been able to eliminate the problem completely, but they will judge you by the progress you make. Okay, so Honorable ABF Husseini has once remarked before that the testicle that will develop into hernia is spotted on the day it descends. So when you begin the governance and the people see that these are serious guys, they mean to make a change, the people will continue to help you. And for us, it will not matter whether President Mahama is living or not living. If the people see that NDC is means business and they are restructuring the country and putting the country back to its winning ways, they will be prepared to continue supporting NDC to go more than even the 4 years you are talking.
We'll talk about your MPs and how they have performed in the past years, but in this battle that you're leading, the internal party unity, do you see all your 16 regions ready to follow you into this battle?
Very much so. But let me quickly add that unity in the sense of a command institution does not exist in any political party, because disagreements and debate constitute the lifeblood of every democracy. So it is not our intention to convert NDC into a command institution. It is our intention to build a political party that allows free debate, expression of opinion, and so on.
Dissenting views?
Come again?
Dissenting views?
Dissenting views. And
once, when the party has taken
the decision is about to be taken, we listen to all views. But once either a consensus or a majority position emerges, democracy dictates that it becomes the decision of the institution. From that point going, if you dissent, it means you don't want to be a part of the party. So, but healthy debate is very, very important. It's the lifeblood of every democratic institution, including political parties, and for that matter, NDC. That's why we don't punish people just for what they have said when we are taking a decision. But once a decision is taken and is being implemented, and you are seen to be attacking that decision, then you are no longer playing your role as a good party person. You are drawing us back. So that is the
how has your MPs performed in Parliament?
I guess that this decision ought to be this question ought to be answered by you, our friends in the media, and the population at large. For me, I believe that our MPs have performed very marvelous within the constraints that they are working. They've done so well this parliament. I'll give them thumbs up. They've done so well.
In going into the election also, let's take a look at the posture of the Electoral Commission. You said, of course, you need to carry all your arsenals into battle. But the referee is the Electoral Commission.
Yes.
Comfortability, responsiveness, is it easy doing what will create a free, fair elections?
When you are going into every battle, you design your strategy according to the SWOT analysis you have performed. I mean, you identify your threats, your opportunities, and all that. So we take the conduct of the EC into account when we are designing our strategy. And so their conduct has been taken care of in our planning and going into the elections. And with another factor we are taking into account is the message the president and his appointees keep on repeating, that they are not ready to hand over power to any other person apart from Baumia. It is a threat we've taken into account in our planning. And so all those things are there. And that's why we are saying that, well, we have not won yet, but we are surely going to win.
You're still here on One. My guest is the General of Ghanaian Politics, General Mosquito. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back. Welcome back to One. General, let's continue our conversation, and although we are getting ready to wrap up now, the EC, the Electoral Task Force, and all of it coming together to ensure we have a free, fair elections. How comfortable is the NDC with all these arrangements, and how reachable are the institutions supposed to organize this and bring all other stakeholders on board?
Thank you very much. Before going on break, we were talking about the threats that we've identified. Another area of threat is election security. Election security has to do with the physical security at the polling stations, collation centers, and so on. It's a source of worry for us because, you see, we have an elections task force, National Elections Task Force, whose meetings we have been attending, that is police and other stakeholders coming together to plan this. The police being the key institution leading that task force. If you are getting into elections and you see that certain changes are happening along the line, affecting people you have been, planning with and so on, this late in the day, it brings a lot of suspicion. And then you see police recruitments being done now across the country under, certain circumstances, abnormal circumstances being done. It poses a challenge because we've lived through this thing before during President Kufuor's time. People from training facilities deployed straight to, polling stations. And when you knew that they were recruited from party structures and sent there after training, they are deployed to polling stations to monitor what is supposed to be a free and fair elections. It raises concern. You see the appointment of a deputy IGP with the president insisting that he must be in charge of operations. I mean, there is no position in our police service called deputy IGP in charge of operations. The Constitution doesn't provide for it. The Police Act doesn't provide for it. What we know is you have deputy IGP, and under the deputy IGP, you now have Director General Operations, Director General this, Director General that. So even though the president is supposed to be appointing IGP and deputy IGP on the advice of the Police Council, it doesn't say that the president should go below the IGP to assign duties to a deputy IGP. And the Constitution says the IGP is responsible for the operational command of the police service and the administration of the police service. Now that the president has nominated somebody and says he's in charge of this, the president has gone beyond the IGP to assign duties to the deputy IGP, which conflicts with the existing Director General in charge of operations. That is a source of worry for us. Is that going to create confusion in how the IGP goes about assigning his duties? It's a problem. In Ayawaso West Wogon, a deputy IGP was appointed weeks before they went into Ayawaso West Wogon violence, and that was Opon Buonu at that time. Right. And so whatever happened at Ayawaso West Wogon, when Apietu was confronted, the IGP then was confronted, he knew next to nothing about what happened in Ayawaso West Wogon. It was all the handiwork of the deputy IGP at that time. I hope history is not going to repeat itself. Now, when you go to the judiciary, they are responsible for, pre-election, during election, and post-election adjudication. Now, with these appointments ongoing, including appointments to anticipate those people who are due for retirement, I haven't heard this thing in our jurisdiction before, that you anticipate that some Supreme Court judge will be going on retirement next year, so let me appoint the replacement now. It's so bizarre. And then when these people come on board, you see that almost 90% of our Supreme Court judges are all now the appointees of Nana Akufo-Addo. Now you have in line a list of High Court judges that are going to be announced. And when you are going into elections, presidential election disputes are handled at the Supreme Court. Right. And the parliamentary election disputes are handled at the High Court. So if a government you are competing with decides now to pack all the courts, High Courts, Supreme Courts, when you have a dispute in the elections relating to parliamentary, you are going to High Court. If it is relating to presidential, you are going to Supreme Court. It may as well be that this appointment is a coincidence, but the coincidence is strange.
So the timing is
wrong. Bad. 5 months to a president exiting, and he's still appointing judges, and nobody is talking. So it's a problem. When you go to the United States, I think Obama in his last days tried to appoint certain judges. Parliament blocked them. They didn't allow the judges to be. They were told that, no, wait and let the next administration do those appointments. They are not to be done by.
Do you think we can go through same way?
Well, I don't want to prejudge anything that is happening, but when it comes to High Court judges, the nomination doesn't go to Parliament at all. The president just announces it. So we only need to alert the conscience of people in society who care about this democracy to speak up. So you have Electoral Commission with appointees clearly from MPP background. We've spoken a lot about it. In politics, perceptions are equally as important as reality. It may as well be that even though they come from MPP background, they will be doing a good job, but who will believe them?
Right.
That's a problem. So we should all be people who are interested in the sustenance of this democracy to make sure that we protect this democracy. The way it is going, the opinion polls results that have been changed, they are scary. If you have a democracy where your population is beginning to lose confidence in your democratic institutions, where are we going? You have a democracy where polls suggest that it's only about 30% of the citizens have confidence in your electoral commission. Where are we going? And you expect that if the chairperson of electoral commission admonishes everybody to accept the outcome of election results, then hallelujah, they are accepted. Why are you concerned that people may not accept the election results? It means that you yourself, you are aware that people don't have confidence in you. But I quickly also add that maybe they've done the bidding of MPP for so long that if now they have changed and they want to announce genuine results, they are scared that MPP will not accept it. Or they are responding to the threats by Nanado and his ministers that they won't hand over. Maybe that is what they are responding to. Only God knows.
The campaign launch is on Saturday.
Sure.
The party will be in Tamale.
Sure.
Your supporters watching you and will be looking up to you to hear from all the speakers and how ready they are to rescue this country, as the party puts it. What should they hope to see on Saturday?
On Saturday, it will be a modest event just to signify that we've blown the whistle for various campaign activities to begin. We are departing from our usual ways of placing more emphasis on jamboree campaigns and so on. And so we are advising our followers, our branches and all that they are going to see this year, they are going to see a campaign which is different from what has happened in the past. We think that we may not be able to have funding, or even if we have funding, it is not the best use of party funds to be organizing jamboree campaigns, assessing the party's performance by the size of rallies and all that. We want to reach out to the people. House-to-house campaign, retail campaign. That is where the emphasis is going to be. So what we are going to do in Tamale is to remind our people that this year the campaign will be different. We must touch base with the people. It is cheaper for party functionaries to reach out to the people in their villages than to bring the people in their villages to a collation point to address them. And even in big rallies like that, the message does not sink as deeply as engaging people in their homes, discussing their challenges and their expectations they have about a new government that is coming. So that is where the emphasis is going to be. And then the training and preparedness to harvest the votes and convert them into electoral victory. That is where our emphasis is going to be, more than jamboree rallies all over the place.
Jenna, it's been wonderful talking to you.
Thank you, my brother.
And thank you too for watching. Good night.